Hi. Today we are going to learn about what is user acceptance testing and how can we test. So I'm going to give you with an example. So earlier in my previous project training videos, we saw like how to gather requirements for a login page and how to document that in Jira, right? Now, once let's assume that developer has developed this functionality and testing, a team has done their side of testing. Now it's in the final phase where the business owners have to do this testing. When we say user acceptance testing, it means the end user, like for example, whoever is asking us the project, right, to do this project, they will be considered as users for us. It's not the customers, the real-time customers will not be doing the testing. It's someone who is giving us the project, like who wants this project to be done, right? So they will be considered as users for us. So they are non-technical people. They will not understand how to test this unless you give them a proper documentation of how to test it. Mostly they are not aware of how to test it. So you have to give them a test plan and what kind of testing they have to do. Now it depends. So if the project is going to be a very big project and that millions of dollars are invested, there could be a user UAT team, okay, specific testing team who will be doing this. But mostly you need to know, okay, how to create this test plan. As a business analyst, you need to know how to create this test plan and how to test these scenarios, and you need to guide the business owners how to test this, and you need to get the UAT sign off from them. So first let's see what is a user acceptance test plan, and then for this example login page I will tell you how to do the testing. So let's go with the document first. First is you need to put, so this is the document, you have to put the project name, and then of course it has table of contents, so you have to put all the sections heading here. What's the purpose of the document, what's the project overview, what is in scope, out of scope requirements, and how are we going to test this, what are the test cases, and what's the test data, and when are we going to test this, what are the defects we have found in UAT, and how can we fix the defects. So all this will be in this table of contents. So once you have done this summary, next we are going to go to, first one is version control. So it will be like how many versions we have done. So, okay, let's start with version 1. Okay, and you put today's date and it's revised by you and why are you changing. So, and then next one is approvals. When it comes to approvals, we need to know who will be doing the approval. Okay, so what's the name, okay, who will be exactly the business owner's name, their title, their role, and the signature, or the date when they are giving the sign off. So all that you need to put here. Okay, test manager, program director, or business owners, like from how many people do you need approvals, you're going to put that here. The next one is you have to put the definitions. Okay, so because they are non-technical people, they don't understand some terminologies. Whatever you put it in the document, they don't understand. If you simply say UAT, some people don't know what is UAT. It is user acceptance testing. Similarly, like whatever regarding to that particular project, whatever is there, you need to put those. Okay, whatever we are going to use in the document, we need to put those, and you have to put the definition so that it's easy for them to reference, see, okay, this for this word, this is the meaning. And do you have any reference documents, okay, for this? For usually we will add all the Jira IDs here, because all the stories related to this testing will be in Jira, right? So all the Jira stories we will add here, the Jira number we will add here. Okay, the next is what's the purpose of the document. So the purpose of the document is like to make sure we have completed the end-to-end testing, and we are making sure that the software is working as expected from the business, or however they want to work, right? Initially when they gave requirements, so they had some idea like how it needs to work. So we are making sure that their expectation is met. Okay, so you're going to put the project description here, and you're going to put what is in scope items or what is out of scope. And this one, like you can always take it from the BRD and you can add it here. And then Next one is most important is what are the assumptions, dependencies, and what are the constraints. Assumptions means like we are making sure like for this time, for this project to test, like the following will be always available. For example, so let's say that you are testing with an healthcare team or healthcare project, and you're testing with different like vendors. Okay, there's an like a server is already there, and also like a vendor management is so okay, let's keep it simple. So first assumption is the infrastructure for that software, okay, that is available. Okay, assumption is the basic infrastructure for that software to be created that is available. For example, database, server, and all the technical part, right, that is available. All the necessary items for development is available, and it will be available, and all the team members will have access to those database things and server, and also all the tools, right, for all the testing tools. They have access to jira, they have access to Confluence. That is all like pretty basic. So when we say assumptions, we're making sure that all the team members will have access to jira, all the team members will be able to do the testing on time, all the team members will be having access to pull the test data from the database. So that is assumption. Okay, everything will be perfect. That is assumption. Dependencies is like, suppose if you are having dependencies with multiple vendors and multiple teams, okay, we are making sure those dependencies are completed. So for example, there is like 3 to 4 teams working on this project, and your team can start the working only if the other team is able to complete that. Then you have a dependency on the other team, right? So we have to make sure all the teams are working on the same pace, and we are able to start the project and complete the project and get the sign off on the same duration, right? That's the dependencies. So we have to make sure how many teams are involved here, and how many on your team, like how much they have dependency on other teams. And if there are any constraints, do you have all the technical people there? Do you have anything freeze period in the sense, for example, like during Christmas, during New Year times, that last 10 days nobody is going to be, like everybody is going to be on vacation, and you don't have enough resources. And so during vacation times or during major holidays, definitely there will be some technically freeze periods will be there. So during those times we cannot test, right? So all that you have to put in the constraints. Like if you have anything like that, you can put it. And what are the risk? Okay, so suppose you are migrating from one platform to another platform. You're migrating from Java to Pega, or you're migrating from mainframe to Java. Okay, let's take you're migrating an application from mainframe to Java. So probably what will happen to the existing data, whether do we have any risk for the existing data, and what is the probability, whether it's high risk or medium risk or low risk, whether you'll be able to migrate all the like 10 years 20 years of data, and then you'll be able to move to the new platform. So you have to put, if there is any existing for that particular project, if there is anything like existing risk, or you think that will be a risk, okay, then you need to add those risk too. Okay, next is like how are we going to plan this? So how are we going to trace this, and how are we going to report this? So first is you need to understand, I have created a document here, actual UAT testing document. So let's see here. So this is the document you will create. It's an Excel sheet where like step by step you need to tell the business owners how you need to test. For example, what's the project name, what's the starting date, ending date, and then who will be testing it. Now let's go one by one, and then I can tell you how it's correlating with that testing plan. Okay, so let's take Emirates login. Okay, this is login page. You want to test this. Okay, you want the business to test this functionality. What will happen? First is they have to use an email ID and a password, and they'll be able to log in. That's a positive scenario, happy path. Let's see whether how to do. Verify if the user is able to log in with a valid email ID and a valid password. Username we can replace by email ID. Okay, email ID and valid password, right? So that's the first criteria. you see here, you can verify the user will be able to log in with a valid email ID and a valid password. So what are the steps they have to do? First step is like you should have a valid email. So log in through, you have to like define the steps here. Okay, log in through enter a valid email ID. Okay, step 2 is enter a valid password. So like this, you need to define the steps. Okay, how you need to test that particular scenario, you need to define the steps here, and you need to put like what is the expected result. The user must be able to log in. Okay, so user must be able to log in, right? So this is the expected result. Okay, and if the user is able to log in, then it's a pass, right? You put a pass here, pass, right? Or if they are not able to do, then you put fail. Okay, and if they're failing, why are they failing? Okay, what is a defect? Why they're not able to? Even if they put a valid email ID and password, what is the error it is throwing? Okay, and if some kind of defect is coming, you need to put what is a defect. Or if it's a pass, you can put it as like pass and everything is fine. So this is how you have to create this testing document. What you will do first is you need to identify for this scenario, how many positive scenarios are there, how many negative scenarios. Positive means happily everything is going fine. Okay, you are able to enter email ID, you are able to enter a password, it is logging in. You are able to enter a Emirates Skywards number and a password, it's able to log in. That's all happy, positive scenarios. Negative means if it is invalid, okay, it should not log in. Okay, so for example, email ID is correct, password is wrong. What should happen? It should not log in, right? If one of the things is not valid, then it should not log in. So that also you need to test. You ask them to test. You verify if the user cannot log in, if it's a valid user and invalid email ID, right? So that also, so all the scenarios they have to, okay, let's say they have a valid email ID, and an invalid password. What will happen? So first one, enter valid email ID. Next one, enter a invalid password. Okay, what should happen? User must not log in, right? User must be unable to log in. Right? This is the scenario. Whether this is a pass or fail. If it is not logging in, then that's a pass. If it's logging in, that's a fail because they are already having invalid password. So it should not log in. This is how you need to like write out all the steps for one functionality. You will write all the steps and make sure it's documented. Okay, must be like verify this, like forget password, this scenario. Okay, forget password scenario that you need to test. And then for anything like invalid login, that you need to test. Remember me functionality. Okay, remember me on this device. So this functionality you need to test. And then verify if the user is able to log in with, if they're changing the password, right? They have to log in only with the new password, not with the old password. That and all you need to test. So these kind of like what are the scenarios you need to test for this functionality? Okay, you need to like, this is the real business analysis skills you need to develop, because sometimes you will always think like positive, everything is working fine, but there could be real-time scenarios where they are entering something and it should not log in. Okay, so you need to think, analyze, and then come up with all the scenarios and make sure we are testing as much as possible accurately. So once you complete this document, what you need to do, you need to share this document with your business owners. So let's say, so now let's come back to the planning document. That's what you're telling here. Okay, so when you're telling here, you need to tell them like test planning means you're giving them all the test cases and scenarios. This is the test case. Okay, these are the test cases, and then you're giving all the scenarios here. So you need to like either you can put it here, you can attach that XML and this Word and you can give it, or you can give it separately. but you need to tell like how many scenarios you are testing, what are the test cases, and how are you going to track it and all that. Okay, now next is if suppose there is any kind of defect. Okay, now let's say like it's not logging in. Okay, even if you put a valid email ID and password, it's not logging in, then whether what it's a defect. Okay, you're going to put it as a defect, or they have to create a defect. So if they create a defect, what they have to do, whether it's a critical defect or if it's a high defect or a medium defect, what is the defect they have to do. Okay, now let's say let me give you whether it is critical or I think it will be, defects will be here. So it is a critical defect or high defect or medium or low defect. Critical defect means they have to solve within 1 business day. Okay, so high defect means 2 business days. Medium or low means 3 business days. So what are the defects that will be considered critical? That is like potential showstopper or like for go. For example, nothing is logging in. Okay, nothing is logging. Whatever you put, it's not logging in. What does it mean? It's a critical. Nothing is working. Okay, whatever the development team has developed, it's not working. Then that's critical, right? You have to fix that. Only then this product can go live. Nobody is going to give you a sign off if nothing is working, right? Nobody is going to give you a sign off. So all that will be critical. High means there are few functionality that is working, but some is not working. For example, let's say that valid ID it's working, but invalid is not working. Okay, and then maybe forget password, just all the other scenarios are working, just this forget create password is not working. So that could be high, that can be resolved within like 2 days. So we have to like, if it is going to be a real showstopper and they are not able to proceed the testing itself, in that case it will be critical. If it's going to be high means they should be able to complete the testing they're able to fix it. Okay, this is like within how many days they have to fix it. Within 2 business days they have to fix it. Medium or low is like very, very minor defects. We can fix that anytime within like 3 business days. So these are the levels of defects. When we say UAT defects, these are the levels of defects. Now you can put like how we are going to track. We can actually, if you know my Jira training, I've already told we can actually create defects in Jira as well. Instead of manually doing this in Word, we can actually create a defect in Jira too. So that's easy for tracking. Okay, so okay, now I have logged into Jira just to show you how to create defects directly in Jira. So when you go to Jira, you need to click create. If you click create, right, you're able to see here. Okay, you can see here whether it's story, task, bug or epic. Bug means is defect. Okay, so you create bug and then click on bug, and then you can put the summary, what are the defects, and then you can also put in the description. Okay, you can put screenshots and descriptions, what are the defects. And here if you see, it will be showing priority, whether it is high, highest, low, lowest, so critical, everything you can put it in the priority. And then you can attach all the screenshots here, and then you can create a defect, right? So for example, I'm just saying login defect. Okay, login defect. For example, I'm creating now. If you're able to create it, it's able to create the defect. Okay, directly in Jira. It's easy for tracking. Instead of doing it in Word or Excel, you can directly create defects in Jira. Okay, login defect. Attach all the screenshots, and then you can create it here. Now, who needs to do, whether you need to do it or the business owners can do it. So if the business owners have your the Jira access and they can log in the defect, that's fine. Sometimes they don't have access to Jira, your team Jira board, right? They don't have access. So sometimes they will be updating here, whatever Excel sheet you are giving here, right? Here they'll be putting in the defects column here. These are the defects I had, like that they can put in the comments. But you can instead of them creating it, you can go and create too. So it works both ways. However the business owners and you decide, you can do that. Okay, now let's come to, that's how you track UAT defects, either through Jira, or you can if it says here, right, test management tool. Okay, defects will be entered and tracked via test manager. That tool is Jira. So if the interview, if they ask you, have you done any testing? What are the tools you use to manage the defects? What's the testing management tool that you use? You can always say Jira. Jira is the tool I used. It's a very important interview question. Many people don't answer these questions properly. You need to know definitely how to create a UAT test plan document, what are the scenarios you'll be writing, positive scenarios, negative scenarios, and if there is a defect, what are the type of defects, whether it is critical defect, high defect, medium, low, and how you will track the defect. Okay, what are the tools you will use to track the defect. Okay, next is you're putting all the defects. See, you can always put it in Word also. Okay, all the defects: crashes the system, crashes the user, corrupts data. Like this you can violates the policy of business. So you can put the defects here, critical defects, high defects, medium defects, low defects. Like this you can put it here also in Word. Instead, you can also use automation tools. If your project is not using automation tools, then Word and Excel is fine. But if your project is using Jira, definitely that's the best way of tracking. Okay, and then escalation, whether critical means how are we going to escalate. Okay, so let's see. So we saw defects. Next one is okay, UAT schedule. When are we going to start this testing? Okay, what's the start date and what is the end date? Okay, what are the deliverables? How are we going to test? What is the test data? So for always testing, right, for example here you need a email ID and a password, right? You cannot randomly give any email ID and password. So that information should be an existing testing data, right? So that information on all you have to put what is the test data, how many email ID we need, how many password we need. So for who will be giving the testing data, because business owners don't know this test data. It will be you who will be querying the database and you will get all the details from the database and you will be providing them the test data. So you can put all the test data here, use this email ID, use this password, like that. You need to put all this test data here. So, and also test reports and test tracking. So Jira will be mostly used for defect management. Yeah, if anybody wants this template, please email me. I can send you this. So mostly what we will do in this document is you're telling not all the fields are necessary, but you can always put how are we going to test, okay, and what are the test scenarios, and when are we going to test, who will be testing, who will be giving us the approvals, what are the defects that we will find, and how are we going to fix those defects. Okay, that's what we are going to do in this UAT testing. So whether what entirely during this UAT user acceptance testing, you are just helping the business owners to test all the scenarios properly, and you need to make sure everything is documented. If everything is a pass and you have no defects, everything went well, then you need to get the UAT sign off. Okay, UAT sign off means approval, right? So UAT sign off means everything is fine. Now you can push this code to production. That's the meaning. So if someone is approving, like they have tested end to end, everything is working fine, and they provide this UAT sign off, means this feature is working fine, very well in the test environment. Now we can actually push the code to production. Means it is going for public can use this feature. Okay, that's the meaning. So all this testing is being done in the UAT environment. Okay, members are dummy members, email ID is dummy email ID, password is dummy, and we are testing it in UAT environment. If everything, once you get the USG sign off, then the developer will move the code to production, and it will be used for the public will be ready to use this. So that is user acceptance testing. So it's very, very important interview question. You need to tell, you can say that I know how to create a UAT test plan a template, I know how to create the plan, I know how to write the scenarios, and I know how to track if there are defects, I know how to track those defects, and what are the 3 types of defects: critical, high, medium, and low. So all those you can explain in the interview. I hope this session is helpful. See you in the next video. Thank you for watching.